Hearing Loss Live Workshop Series, Gestures and Sign Language. Hello, and welcome to Hearing Loss Live's workshop, Gestures and Sign Language. Now, this workshop's a little different. We are going to talk about hearing loss and how gestures play a role in understanding what's being said to us, and how some sign language actually is kind of like a gesture is the best way for me to explain. I want it very clear. Shelley Wyatt and Julia Stepp are not sign language teachers or professionals. We will not offer a sign language class here through Hearing Loss Live, but we are happy if you want to learn sign language to give you references to classes. Some are free, some you have to pay for, some are online, some might be in person, but we do have some contacts that way. Sign language is a beautiful language. I'm better receptive than signing to others, but it is a language. Let me repeat that. Sign language is its own language. It's like learning French. It's like learning German. It's like learning Spanish. It has its own syntax, I think is how you say that, where, where the noun and the verb is might be different than the English language. There is English order sign language. There is American Sign Language. There is Native American Sign Language. There is French Sign Language. There's British Sign Language. So accents play a role just like they do in English. So I don't discourage anybody from learning new languages, because I love language, right? So I don't want to discourage, but with hearing loss, you do need extra help, right? So Shelley and I have spent a lot of years either helping others with simple sign language. She'll go into what she kind of uses with her friends, and the importance of what you need to know and what you need to have your family know, versus are you just learning for yourself, is how I'm going to say that. I'm not sure I'm making a lot of sense, but Shelley, help us dive into how important gestures are.
Yeah, I'll talk tiny bit on my experience with sign language first, and then we can jump into the gestures. So I spent years and years, and I'm going to go with probably 7-8 years trying to learn American Sign Language. Only they teach it to the hard of hearing here at the state of Utah as English in English order. So they call it conceptually accurate signed English. It's also pidgin sign language. So we go in English order, and that was the only way I could wrap my brain around learning sign language. There are some people, who would come into class and they would mistake our class for the ASL class. So we always talked about the difference at the beginning and tried to separate the people who wanted to learn American Sign Language ASL. And there was a lot of comments in there about, it's such a beautiful language. I had to fight because I have been trying to learn it for 7-8 years. And it was hard. It was very, very hard. And for most of those years, I didn't have anybody else to practice with. And the only time I did have somebody to practice with was in that class for, I think it was an hour and a half once a week for how many ever weeks it was. I couldn't get it. I mean, it wasn't until I started working for the State Deaf and Hard of Hearing Center full time that I started to pick up on more sign language. And I had a friend who used sign language. So I started getting better at it. I say I'm not fluent, but some people will say, what is fluent anyway? You know enough. I was like, okay, yeah, I know enough to get by. But I'm never going to be immersed in that culture. I don't work at the State Deaf and Hard of Hearing Center anymore, so I'm not around the deaf as much. My family does not use sign language. Occasionally when I go out into public, I meet somebody or like a pharmacy. I'll give my pharmacy helper one time, pharmacist. I told her I rely on lip reading. This is when there was mask, and of course you can't lip read when there's masks. So I told her I lip read, and she took 3 giant steps back, took her mask down, and signed as she let me lip read her. Always this confusion. Whenever I say I lip read, people automatically assume I know sign language. Those who know sign language, a lot of people don't, okay? They might know nice to meet you, or thank you, or what's your name, you know, they know that kind of stuff, but it's very basic. So it's not that helpful when I'm out in public. So I do use what they call SimCom when I am with other people who sign. That's simultaneous communication. I sign as I talk using English order. I don't know all the signs, so I'm just signing what I can as I go along with certain friends who use it. Very few friends who use it, and it does help our communication. But that's just a few people in my life and not in my daily life. So so there's the bit on sign language. And I tell the story of my husband didn't want to learn sign language. He looked at one class and went, no. He can't sit there that long. It was back then, it was like 50 to 100 signs a night, which is not good. Don't go there. If a class does 50 to 100 signs a night, it's going to be overwhelming. So I thought, oh boy, I got to get onto this lip reading. And I did. And now lip reading has really helped me a lot. The only thing I made my husband learn was the ASL alphabet, ABCs, because sometimes I get stuck on a word and I need him to spell it. He doesn't have to spell the whole word, which he likes. Usually it's the first 2 or 3 letters only. And then I got the word because all the sounds snap together. And I'm like, oh, okay, I got it. So I think the alphabet is a must, and you need to teach it to your communication partners, and you need to know it yourself. So we do have a resource for that at lifeprint.com. Go over there, learn the ASL alphabet. It will help. Mostly my husband gestures. He's a fabulous gesturer. He can tell whole stories using gestures, and he can get really creative using gestures, and we both will find ourselves just collapsing in laughter because of what he came up with, but I understood it. And so there's a lot of gestures he does, and sheesh, I can't remember a lot of them. We do share one in our lip reading concepts class. I tell a whole story, or share a story that he told friends who sign, and I show how you can tell a whole story using gestures. Is that a good start, Julia?
It is. You know, I think like any language, when you don't practice it, you lose it, right? So that's one of those, you know, if you're doing it for yourself and only for yourself, find somebody to practice your language with, changes in your language, your ASL. Do we want to quickly finger spell the alphabet? They can pause it if they'd like. We will have a copy in our workbook if you choose to purchase the package. just a quick example of the alphabet so that you can, follow along with us and try it. I do like lifeprint.com because they also have some free lessons on basic signs. And that was a good reference. So thank you. Just your thoughts there.
The ASL alphabet, just really quick, is A, B, C, D, E, can be up here or down here. It goes both ways anymore. This saves the hand and keeps it from aching so much. E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M. That's hard for a lot of people, so if it hurts your thumb, just do the best. It might come partly under. You don't have to stick it all the way up. N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. That's the alphabet. It takes time. My husband gets the D and F mixed up quite a bit, and I've learned that. And he'll start spelling something with a D like this, and I'm just looking to try to figure out this word, and he's saying it again. And so there is some confusion, but again, keep a sense of humor. It does help. We often laugh.
And you can print it off and put it on your fridge, right? So then you guys have it if you need it available for somebody who comes over, grandkids. Grandkids love to learn these things like the alphabet. My son knows some sign language, so we'll talk about things behind people's backs. So there's some pros and cons to it. Talk to us about gestures and how, what are some common gestures that may or may not either be a sign or it could be, I guess universal, right? And by universal, I'm saying that I know some people really kind of like, you want me to gesture, and they get a little confused, but you could almost gesture if you had a question on a word and saying, are you talking about, and point, or does that make sense? Mirror what you'd like the other person to do for you. I've got the Shelley's confused look, so hopefully she's following me because I changed it.
No, I understand. I was just thinking in my head, oh, where can I gesture? Sometimes gestures are a lot in the facial expression. We depend a lot on facial expression as well as the gesture. So like, what? And if that's a common gesture, they can go, what? And I think there's a picture of my husband doing that in the blog. So that's a common one. Smiling, you're friendly, you're willing, you're happy. A smile will go anywhere, of course. Waving, there's a lot of people who wave to get my attention because I can't hear them when they yell out. So, and then there's the friendly wave, and you can probably use this in almost any culture as you go visit different countries and stuff, but we will talk more about that probably in the summary. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Simple, easy gesture to use. And like if I ask my husband, do you want to go to a movie with me? Because, well, he has a hard time sitting still for a long time, and it has to be something that really grabs his attention. So movies, pointing, like Julia said, if you're in a place and, oh, here's an awesome thing that you can gesture. When they do instructions, when people say, oh, go down the hall, turn right at the first hall, and then go left. And so, and they always say that while they're looking away. Have you ever noticed that? Every time I ask for directions, people will look away and start pointing to wherever, and that's a gesture. That's nice. But you can go, oh, go down the hall at the first right, go down that hallway, go back down that hallway, and then take a left, and you go down that hallway, and it's the second door on the right. And that's helpful. That adds to communication a whole lot right there. So that's one way to use gestures. Clapping, we all, that's almost universal. You can clap and people will know that you appreciated the show, what they said, you're celebrating them, something like that. The gesture, and this is more body language, but when people cross their arms and they're looking at you and they're like, what? You can tell they're defensive. They're not agreeing with you. They got something to say. They're holding it in, kind of. And then another universal gesture, it would be like, oops, oops, or a surprise. It could be a surprise, but I think mostly it's like a oops. So there's some universal gestures. I'm trying to think of another way. You need to move something, like my husband in his story talked about his ladder that he climbs up and used, and he had to pick it up and he had to move it around, and he laid it against the fence. So it's something we do naturally, but there's really flat people who really don't gesture or smile or facial expressions, and it's so hard to understand them. We need all the visual cues we can get to understand language.
I think that's what I was getting at, that one-off person who's really not going to use any type of gesture with you. They're going to panic and still have this deadpan look at you, right? So that's where you can be proactive. Okay, so you told me we're going to go over to J Street and we're going to go right, and we're going to visit the restaurant, and then you can have the question looks, and they might say, oh no, we're going to go this direction. They still might be a deadpan face, but odds are they're going to gesture because they kind of saw you do it. It's a mimic behavior. Sometimes they're not going to do it every time, but they see you do it. They're going to go, oh no, we're going to go this direction to K Street and whatever. And maybe they won't, and they'll just say, uh-huh. Again, there's always the one off, right? And now I lost my train of thought because I had another one. Oh, this is one we use a lot. Volume control. Are you speaking too loud? Are you speaking? And that actually can be universal both ways. Whether it's the hearing partner saying you're speaking a little too loud, maybe your hearing aids have you talking too loud, voice modulation, or your partner's soft spoken and you need them to turn it up a little. That's one we use a lot, I think.
And up, down, upstairs. I've seen that, it's upstairs because they bounce up or they bounce downstairs. So, and be the change you want to see, just like Julia said. Mimic the behavior you want others to take on, because usually people will start to pick up on that stuff. Did I have any other notes here? I don't, unless Julia has something she wants to bring up.
No, if we're ready to close out, I can get us started out. We hope you're enjoying our workshop series. Just a reminder, it is on the podcast and Buzzsprout for 1 week for free. If you want it after that week and you want the workbook that's going to be with it, watch for that to come out later this fall, maybe early winter. I think we've finished this next set of 5 workshops in November, if memory serves. So we'll publish them out as they go along that way. We hope you're enjoying our content. Remember to subscribe and share and tell us what you think. You can always buy us a cup of coffee as well. I'm going to put a QR code in. I'm going to remember to do that. So all you got to do is look at it with your phone and go to us and buy us a cup of coffee. Tell us what we mean to you. What would you like more of? What would you like to see for our 2024 season? It's not too far off. We're amazed. We hope you join us for one of our classes. Remember, it's buy one, bring your hearing partner free. I actually don't care if they have a hearing loss or not, or if they're your hearing partner, but together is how we get in the know. So we look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.
Bye.